Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. My name is Ashton. Today it is Wednesday, October 16th. It is 8:16 here in the morning. Today we are going to be talking about the Chiefs, the offense and the defense, how they looked so far through 6 weeks of the regular season. And then also the LeBron James, the NBA kind of really ordeal, what's going over there in China, and kind of also starting off the show talking about what's going on new in my life, what I just got promoted for my work, so I'll jump right in on that. If you guys don't know, I work at Chick-fil-A, and recently I just got promoted to team lead, which all the responsibilities are to make sure that you keep your team members in check. Basically, like a manager, you're just kind of overseeing everything. You're still helping the team out. You're still producing. You just have a little bit more responsibilities. So what comes with that is I get a blue shirt. I get a different changing uniform. I get a swipe card. I get keys. I get my number into the system where if I have to like cancel out an order, I can do it in like 0.2 seconds without getting anybody's swipe card. So that's kind of nice. I'll be counting drawers down. I'll be dealing with a lot of money. I'm probably going to start all that training here probably today. I'll get a little bit of the tour in today because I work right after this podcast today. So, but I get all that keys, the swipe card, the blue shirt, all that starts on Monday. But I can go ahead and start training for it. So that's I'm excited for it. It'll be a different role for me because I'm used to being the team member, but now being the team lead, you're kind of looked upon for guidance. You're looked upon for leadership, and I think I'm ready for it. So anyways, we'll go right into the Chiefs and talk about what's been going on through 6 weeks. So the Chiefs, they've been 4-2 in the last 6 games. Next week they're going up against the Denver Broncos. And so far through 4 weeks, the offense, through 6 weeks, my bad. The offense has looked explosive. We are down some pretty key injuries. Our offensive line is not the greatest. I can tell you that right now with all the injuries that we've had. Eric Fisher looks like we need him desperately back. He's our left tackle. We've had to put Cam Irving over there, who personally I think Cam Irving should be a guard, not a tackle. He has better luck at being a guard than he does a tackle. So, but Cam Irving, he's learning to be a tackle for us. So it's not something that he hasn't done before, but he's just better at being a guard for us. And kind of everybody on the offensive line has gotten their butts handed to us. Like in the Indianapolis game, we just got whooped up front. I didn't even have to watch much of the game to see that. It was kind of just like it was given. Like I was cleaning my basement and kind of watching at the same time when they were playing the Colts, and we just got manhandled and whooped up front, and it was kind of and that's kind of why our offense stalled. And along with Patrick Mahomes getting injured on his left or right ankle, I can't remember. He was injured with his ankle. I think it's his left. But and yeah, then we had in the Colts game, we didn't have any weapons really offensively. Sammy Watkins was down and Tyreek Hill was out with the shoulder injury, and Sammy, it's a new injury every week, so you can't really depend on him. And so we kind of had to have the rookies basically get thrown into the fire and take the load off of Patrick Mahomes, and of course, we don't have a running game. That's not apparently new to us because concept of running the football apparently kind of went out the window when I guess Patrick Mahomes was named NFL MVP. So apparently, we don't know how to run the football. All we do know is how to throw screen passes and hope that it gets us where we need to go. And honestly, people are figuring out this offense, and we don't have like that power running back. Like, we all know that Darrell Williams is trying to be that power running back, and he's doing a good job so far with LaShawn McCoy and Damian Williams. Damian Williams has just come back off an injury, so um, it's kind of a workload of three running backs right now. Darrell Williams, Damian Williams, and LaShawn McCoy. And it's just, there isn't one specific back that you can actually count on and say, oh, he's going to get me if we were to run the ball 5-10 yards. And that's just kind of, we're relying so much on the pass game right now that we can't even do the run game because we're so banged up on the offensive line. We would just get whooped anyways for no yardage, and it would just be that type of night anyways. So we're relying so much on the pass game, and at this rate of the usage of Patrick Mahomes, I just see a bigger injury to unfold here within the coming weeks. And I heard Stephen A. Smith on First Take yesterday actually give off the idea and saying like, what if Patrick Mahomes were to sit out a week? Could the Chiefs like sustain that? Like, just to get him healthy for the playoffs, because we all know that the Chiefs can make it to the playoffs. It's the fact of getting him there healthy that concerns everybody. Can he be healthy by the time the playoffs roll around, and can we keep our quarterback upright? That question remains to be unseen. The good news is Eric Fisher's not going to be out all year long. He will be coming back. Sammy Watkins will be coming back. Tyreek, he's already come back. He came back in the Houston game and performed like he normally does in a big way. So I'll be talking about the Houston game as well. I kind of broke down what's going on for the offense in the Houston game, and kind of same ordeal with the Chiefs in the Houston game. We kind of got smacked up front, and they could just apply pressure to us. And again, we can't run the football. And Tyreek, he had a few big plays for us. He had a couple touchdowns, and of course, Patrick Mahomes threw like a 54-yard touchdown pass to him, and I was listening to that while I was breaking down while I was serving at the church, and kind of was playing 101 The Fox, and just heard it go off, and Tyreek going for a 50-yard touchdown pass, and then I saw the highlight after that, and he completely outjumped the defender. And Tyreek Hill he's a small dude. He's a little bit bigger than me, like height wise and muscle wise, but more height wise. And I think he's like 5'10". If I were to look that on Wikipedia, I'm pretty sure I'm right, but 5'10", 5'9", something like that. And he goes up, he jumps for the ball. He completely, like, his vertical leap is definitely better than the defender, and he just catches the ball, and there's like 3 to 4 defenders around Tyreek as is, and like he catches it like on the 1 yard line, and he notices, oh, I got the end zone right behind me, I might as well just stretch out for this. And so that's what he does, and he gets a touchdown, and it's Tyreek Hill's back. So we definitely need that. We definitely need that vertical threat now, and now we just need Sammy to come back. Deshaun Watson, he performed in the game pretty well. Even though he threw two interceptions, uh, three for one, threw for one touchdown. He still had a pretty good game. He was a game manager pretty much, just making sure that they chewed off a lot of the clock. That's what the last three opponents have pretty much been doing for the Chiefs, um, taking time of possession and just keeping the Chiefs defense out there on the field, which is like the last thing that we want. And I'll be getting into dissecting the defense here in just a second for both games. And pretty much Deshaun Watson just was a he. There was no big play that he was like. There wasn't like a 30-yard bomb down the field. They weren't doing that type of stuff. It was a lot of short, like a lot of running plays because Chiefs defense is ranked 30th in the league um, in runs and run defense, which is like absolutely terrible. You don't want a 30th ranked run defense and then throwing short completions to Deshaun Watson, and they would get like 6 or 7 yards on like these run plays. So they weren't really stopping anything, and it doesn't help much when your best defensive player, Chris Jones, he goes out in the Colts game, and he's got a groin issue, so he'll be out for a numerous amount of weeks. And the Chiefs' bye isn't until like I got the Chiefs app here. I'll look it up here in just a second. But anyways, the Chiefs defense, we're counting on Chris Jones coming back. We just recently got Marcus Claiborne off a suspension, 4-game suspension, and he's been okay the last couple games. He's got some pass interference calls against him. Rashad Breeland, if you all know that name, he's number 21 on the Chiefs. My goodness, he's like had the worst 2 career games as a Chiefs that he could possibly have. It was even worse in the Colts game because he gave up like basically like a 50 to 60 yard penalty, and then he gave up like another 30-yard penalty on top of that, and just for running into the receiver. And at this point, you're like, oh my gosh, Brashad, like just make a play on the ball. Don't touch the receivers at all. But if you look at the Chiefs games, guess what they're doing on every play? They're grabbing the receivers like beyond like 5-10 yards, like 15 yards, and you're just praying on God's good green earth that you don't get a flag, because you could technically throw a flag on every single play against them. Like you seriously could. Like, stop grabbing. Like, just use what you know. Like, if you know that they're gonna run past you, how about you take a few yards off and let them, like, if they're gonna beat you, let it be with the short game, not with the deep threat. Like, I would be okay with guys getting 4 or 5 yard completions and not 30 yards down the field. Like, now those 4 or 5 yards completions add up through the game, yes, but I would rather see like 4 or 5 yards being completed than a 30-yard bomb that ends up being a touchdown, and you're just kind of like, well, there goes our defense. And that's kind of how our defense has been so far. So I said our bye week was, this is week 7, week 8, week 9, week 10, 11, week 12. All right, so week 12 is our bye week. We have a few more games. We have at least 4 more games to get through until we get to week 12. So, yay. We don't really get much of a break. But, so I'll be talking about defense now. I kind of have been, but, so week 12 for the Chiefs, can't come any sooner for this defense. Seriously, because like I already said, Chris Jones is down. Our secondary is now getting exposed because of penalties, and now Charvarius Ward, he's been stepping up. He's been making some plays in the secondary. Marcus Claiborne, he's come back. That he off that 4-game suspension, he'll be a big weapon. What we really desperately needed was a player like Jalen Ramsey that went to, you could probably guess. I don't know how the Rams do it. I don't understand it. But they got Jalen Ramsey this year. I believe they got Dante Fowler last year, and of course they have Blake Bortles as well. So they have the top 3 draft. They have the top 5 draft picks from 2014 to 2016 for the Jaguars, and of course, out of all places Jalen Ramsey goes, it's the Rams. And I saw Marcus Peters went somewhere yesterday. That's slipping my mind. He went somewhere. I think he went to the Browns, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure he went to the Browns. And of course, the Browns desperately need it. Their secondary is banged up as well, but he went to the Ravens. I knew it was somewhere in that division. It just was it was slipping my mind. And so the Ravens secondary, they're getting improved. He'll probably be like, well, he might be like their first corner actually. But Marcus Peters, he's been okay the last couple of years. He's not been like the Marcus Peters that was in Kansas City. That was kind of like, if you even dare to throw the ball in that general area, most likely it's getting picked off. He was that type of corner for us, anyways. I haven't been checking up on the games for the Rams and at all, but I know that he made a couple plays against us, and that he was making some plays last year for the Rams, and that'll be interesting to watch how that unfolds. And for the Ravens, they'll be a better secondary because of it. But the Chiefs, their defense, back to the Chiefs defense, we have got to get better linebackers. We have just gotten obliterated, and our linebackers just seem to get run over, like straight up run over. And this defense doesn't really seem to have an identity. Last year, when the Chiefs defense played, you knew that they could get to the quarterback, that they could apply pressure and try and cover up their deficiencies that way. Well, we can't get to the quarterback. We can't stop the run. I mean, we barely have a pass rush as is, and that's kind of what everybody was afraid of going in. Frank Clark hasn't been able to do much. He's gotten like 1 or 2 sacks. He's made a couple plays. He's gotten an interception, but he's not been that dominant force that we need on the defensive end. We don't have like a D Ford rushing off the side. We don't have a Justin Houston anymore. Justin Houston, as a matter of fact, obliterated our offense. He was the best defensive player on the field when the Chiefs and the Colts played. He was the main reason. And of course, what did we do this past offseason? We just released him. And I heard a staggering stat off the Chiefs. They were talking about the Chiefs. It was like a KCT5 show late at night, and would you guys be guessing right now that Justin Houston and Eric Berry would still be like on the salary cap, that we'd still be playing them, like paying them, even though they're not on the team. One's on another team, and the other guy's not even in the league. And the third highest paid right now this year is Frank Clark, which he hasn't been producing anything. So kind of right now, you're as a Chiefs fan, you're like, well, we're screwed. And until we're screwed until Chris Jones gets back, and basically that's hoping that he's fully recovered from his groin injury. And at this point, you're like, there's no hope for this defense. They have to make a trade by the trade deadline to at least get some help. And a lot of us were counting on that Jalen Ramsey to come to the Chiefs. Well, Jalen Ramsey went to the Rams. We're definitely not going to get him from the Rams now. So it's kind of I don't have a single clue what they're going to do at the trade deadline. They probably won't trade for anybody, be completely honest, because they had a chance last year to get Patrick Peterson, and I know that the Cardinals were like, on our lives, we will not trade Patrick Peterson, because he was their only good defensive player and corner, and we desperately wanted and needed a corner, and our secondary, other than Tyrann Mathieu, our secondary is kind of getting uh, sent to the shredder and getting obliterated, and so there's nothing that we can do right well on the defensive side. So should I probably go into detail of what has happened the last two games for the in the Colts and Texans game? We have managed. Now, I will say we don't give up a whole lot of touchdowns defensively. That is something that I have noticed and that we have managed to do well. We keep opponents mainly, other than the Texans game, we have kept them like under 20 points. Like 20 to 25 points is mainly what we gave up. In the Texans game, we gave up 31 points. That's kind of, I'll get to that in just a second, but how it led to 31. But the Colts game, basically the Colts were to go up and down the field against us was through the run, and it doesn't help when your defensive backs like Bashaud Breeland give up 56-yard penalties in the passing game. And like, you could go back, I think it was against like one of their like Colts rookie receivers. I don't even think it was against T.Y. Hilton. It may have been, but yeah, Bashaud Breeland, he gives up 56-yard penalties, and you're just like, your one job is to not run into the defensive player and to make sure, and you can track to where the ball is. Well, what does he do? He runs into the receiver, knocks him clearly to the ground, and it's like clear as day. You can't miss it. And like, even if the like refs were to miss it, like if you were to throw a flag, that would be one that you would win. Like out of a million plays that were to like be under review, you would actually win that one. And what's been the main theme this year is a lot of people have been throwing their challenge flags to see if it can get overturned for like pass interference and type of stuff. And they have like turned over like probably like 5 to 10% of the calls. Like, honestly, through 6 weeks, it's ridiculous. Like, don't even risk throwing your challenge flag, because they're not going to overturn it. That's what they've pretty much have claimed. Like, as long as it's egregious and outrageous, then they will turn it over. But like, they just won't. And that's kind of been the main theme for challenges. regarding pass interference. And so I've like my dad, me and my dad, we were watching I think Monday Night Football or something, and my dad was like actually asking like, hey, like there's an actual possible chance like, hey, you think that that gets overturned? And I'm like, no, no, no way, nope, none, zero. There's no chance. And you could hear the commentators saying, hey, there could be a chance, and then it doesn't get overruled, and then I don't even remember what game I was watching. I think it had some sort of game with like the Packers in it. It wasn't it wasn't the recent Lions and Packers game. I think it probably wasn't even like a Monday night. It was probably like a Thursday night game. I think it was like the Packers and the Eagles or something like that. I think that it was something like that that we were watching, and then there was something else in the game, and I was like, I guarantee you they don't overturn the call. And what happens to be the case that they don't overturn the call. So I'm like, that, that's just going to be the common theme. They won't overturn these calls. And that's kind of why they implemented the challenge rule in the first place, was to overturn these calls, to overturn the obvious pass interference. Well, they're not even doing it. And like some of these are like kind of clear, like clearly it's obviously pass interference, and they're not even overturning the call. So you're like, at this point you're like, do I even risk a challenge flag because of this? So at this point you're like, don't even worry about it, just move on to the next play, let's keep going. I want to keep my challenge flags just in case like something else bigger in the game like were to happen, and if it's questionable, hey, I want to challenge that. So um, I know that Andy Reid's has done a couple of those challenges and it's been denied. Um, so I'll go to the Houston game and dissect defensively what happened as well. I kind of already had said that they did it. The Houston Texans did it with the running game and doing short completions to uh, Deshaun Watson to DeAndre Hopkins, and that's kind of how they did it. Well, so at the end of the first half, it was like a minute 35, a minute 40 left in the game. Deshaun Watson on a 4th and 1 throws he's trying to throw a touchdown pass at the end of the quarter. And what does one of our defensive backs do? Oh, I'll tell you. So our defensive back, Juan Thornhill, who I've told you about, he likes to be a ball hog. Um, he completely lost all sense of awareness of what down it was, and what they were on the Chiefs like 40-yard line, and the dude catches it in the end zone and gets tackled in the end zone. So we now have it at the Chiefs 20, where if he were to swat the ball, it'd be at the Chiefs 40. And Chris Boomer on CBS completely obliterated Juan Thornhill. Now, I like to say I give the rookie the benefit of the doubt, and he just made a rookie mistake. And I'm not super heated over it because, again, he's a rookie. And I'd probably, if I were a rookie, I probably kind of would have done the same thing. Maybe not, um, but I can see why he did it, and here's why. Juan Thornhill, I don't think, had an interception leading up to that game. It would have been his first official, and it was his first career interception, if you look at it this way. He was thinking, oh, well, I'm trying to get my first career interception, I have a chance right here to do so. And, like, I might as well just catch this ball. Like, it's in my general area. It's not like I can't catch it. I might as well just catch it. So that's the only explanation that I have for the kid, and that's why he caught it. Otherwise, it was a stupid play, and that he should have never done it. And he should have just swapped the ball because the Chiefs would have had it at our own 40-yard line. And kind of ironically, the first play that the Chiefs get from scrimmage uh, of that next series offensively, Patrick Mahomes gets sacked. And not only does he get sacked, he fumbles the football, and the Texans recover it. And watching it live, I watched one of our offensive linemen literally stare at the football. It looked like in person, like not in person, but watching it live on television, it looked like I think our offensive line number 74. He knew he. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He didn't know the ball was on the ground, and then he kind of realized, oh, the ball's on the ground. Oh wait, now I got to hop on it because nobody's going to do it other than me. And then he dives after it, but he dives after it after one of the Texans players already swoops it up, and then he falls onto it, and you're just like, oh my gosh, thanks for the late reaction, offensive line, great job. Here at this point, wow, congrats. We have just a great offensive line, and then that's kind of what led to Deshaun Watson getting into the end zone and making this thing a game. And I think at that point, they took the lead into halftime, and you're just like, holy crap. The Chiefs gave up a 17-3 lead, and now it's a 24-17 lead into the halftime. What the heck? What happened? The Chiefs defense happened. That's what. And so yeah. I'm done breaking down the Chiefs and what's going on in the NFL. I'm going to be talking about LeBron and what's happening with the NBA in China so far. So recently, Daryl Morey, for the Houston Texans owner, if you have not been keeping up with the NBA at all, like myself, this is the only thing that you should know about right now because the NBA preseason has just started. And they were supposed to have games over in China. Well, one Rockets owner, Daryl Morey, decided, you know what, I'm going to put a tweet out there today posting about this. So there was this group of Chinese, like Chinese rebels, to say, basically, and he was tweeting about them. And he was like, they should, congrats for them for rebelling against the Chinese government. And honestly, LeBron had come out with this, and LeBron was kind of mad at the Rockets owner and said, "Bruh, it couldn't have waited after all the preseason games in China." Well, what happened was the Chinese government got mad at Daryl Morey and got mad at the NBA. And the NBA had kind of got all their preseason games canceled in China. China is not doing business with the NBA anymore. And so you're just kind of looking at Daryl Morey like, dude, you just screwed up this opportunity with China. And now we have to clean up your mess. So, congrats. Daryl Morey deleted the tweet after. And after all this was starting to go down, and what the NBA said on Daryl Morey's behalf was, we don't apologize for what Daryl Morey said. We are just disappointed at that this kind of all unfolded, and we like it when our owners and players have freedom of speech. We want our players and owners to have freedom of speech. Like, this is what our company is founded upon. And what's happening over in China is those rebels, they're trying to have that right of freedom of speech. And what is the Chinese government doing? It's like saying, no, we don't want you to have freedom of speech. So that's kind of all I know about it. And what my thoughts are about it is Daryl Morey's an idiot for even putting that tweet out there in the first place, because you knew that you were having preseason games over in China. You knew all that was going on politically and socially with China at the time. Heck, your own team is over there in China as well, amongst uh, amongst all other NBA players, noticeably LeBron James and the Lakers. And so you have some of the biggest stars over in China, and you're kind of threatening their lives. And as you're as a basketball fan and as a person, you're like, what the heck, Daryl Morey? You just kind of put a big old bullseye on the back of every single one of these, not only the teams but the players. And like, is it even safe for them to be over there anymore? Like, that's a good arguable question to ask. And so at this point, you're like, Daryl Morey needs to get smacked on the head pretty hard, and you're like, you shouldn't be making that. Like, if anything, LeBron was mad at him, like, at the timing of it all, and was like, that could have waited after we had played our preseason game. I think, regardless, I think we were going to lose business of China, because China doesn't have the same values as us, obviously, as the freedom of speech and what the NBA was like, we like our freedom of speech. Apparently, China doesn't. So it looked like you were going to lose them regardless in business. And, that I know it stinks, and China's a pretty big market and helps the NBA a lot. And players like Yao Ming have come from China. And I don't know if we will get players like Yao Ming anymore from China into the NBA. I have no clue. But that's kind of what hit the NBA. That's kind of what's happening in the NBA at the moment. That's kind of what they're looking at, and everybody's kind of looking at Daryl Morey like, dude, you have got to be the biggest idiot of an owner to say something like that at this given moment in time, knowing that your own team is over in China. And so that's kind of all I have to say on it. Thanks, guys, for listening to my podcast. I know it's a little bit longer than usual today, but I had a lot of stuff on my mind that I wanted to get off my chest to you guys, and I also wanted to tell you about my promotion as well. So just keeping up on me as well. So thank you for listening to our podcast. Click and subscribe if you like anything. Of course, I'd always like to hear feedback from you guys. So just to keep this thing going and to hear what you guys have to say. I know that I kind of hit on some big topics today of the Chiefs and the NBA. So I'll be talking a little bit about that more here in the future. So thank you for listening, and have a good one, guys.